Hi, I'm Rhiannon Faith, and I'm here to tell you a story. So, since school has just ended here in Arizona, I figured it would be kind of fun to talk summer camp memories, since I had the pleasure of going to summer camp quite a number of times as a kid, and there was always something, that happened or an adventure that was had. It was kind of out of the norm. I was thinking about summer camp experiences because, of course, kids are getting ready to head out to camps and all the rest of that good stuff. When I was a kid, we would go to summer camp and kind of thought like it was this really grand adventure. As an adult, reflecting back, I recognized it was free childcare for my parents. Sometimes not free, but most of the time, if we went to summer camp, it was on scholarship of some sort. But it was a little bit of a free-for-all, which, interestingly enough, is not dissimilar to what the rest of life was like, 80s, 90s kids, where you were relatively under-policed, latchkey style, under-policed, and latchkey style where you were having plenty of options to not have adult oversight. And certainly at camp, these folks don't know you the way your parents do, know what you might be trying to get into or up to, and so there was a little bit more opportunity to fly under the radar. So I was thinking, not necessarily in chronological order, but I guess they are sort of in chronological order as far as activities go. So a couple years in a row, we did a Salvation Army day summer camp. So we would go off and do lots of different activities. It was really fun. I remember the most memorable was going to Wet and Wild in Southern California. That was really cool. And of course, we had to memorize a verse during the week, and it was Isaiah 55:6. Seek the Lord while he may be found and call upon him while he is near. Isaiah 55:6. So kind of funny because I was probably going into 5th grade, and I still totally remember it. But we had a lot of fun and did all sorts of arts and crafts, which I always loved doing. My mom's very creative, and so she did lots of arts and crafts with us. And so this was kind of a natural opportunity progression to do more of that. And then we made snow cones and had other activity adventures. My ping pong game was strong during that summer because we had ping pong there and foosball. I got pretty good at foosball. Another camp that was really cool, junior high summer camp with Calvary Chapel Vista. We went up to Arrowhead, I believe it was, and it was really cool because the place we stayed was like a convention center the church used, owned, whatever. And so we had like dorm rooms that were kind of hotel-esque. And so we had our own little pod spaces, and there wasn't an adult in every one. There would be, a handful of kids, and then there's an adult every few. So there was a lot of independence at that camp, which I enjoyed. But we had a regimented schedule. You get up and you go to breakfast and you do your thing, and then we'd go to worship, and then we'd have breakout sessions. But we had a lot of fun sessions as well. Also, this is like the funniest part. Okay, so I loved my t-shirt from that camp. So the owner of Billabong is in the Calvary Chapel family in some capacity. I don't know all the details, but I remember being told that he had offered to allow all the shirts to be printed on Billabong shirts. So our junior high summer camp shirts were actually like the tags were Billabong, which I thought was the coolest because, as previously addressed, I was poor as a child, and so I didn't have Billabong gear. Although I wanted it, I didn't have any Billabong anything because that was frivolity and not something that was a priority to spend money on. So if a friend had given me something secondhand, I would have worn it no problem, but I didn't have anything. So my first Billabong gear was my junior high summer camp t-shirt from Calvary Chapel Vista summer camp. So I just thought that was like the absolute coolest thing. Like, did you check out my shirt? I wore it until like it practically fell off, and I still have it in my clothing memory box. But I loved that shirt. And then while we were there, lots of foosball. That campus is really beautiful. The pool was sparkling and fabulous. And I had this whole this guy that I really liked while I was there, and I had liked him for a while, like during church. I had liked him preceding this, but it was interesting to be like unsupervised flirty at church camp. So nothing happened, of course, no materialization of chaos, but you know how differently you get to behave when you, or you do behave potentially when you don't have like that strict oversight of your parents, because again, the adults were all there. Now, to be fair, I think about that stuff also as it pertains to my kids going to camp, because I'm like, let's be real, I also went to camp. I know what's happening at camp. Stay in your own dorm, stay away from the girls, or for my son and for my daughters, stay away from the boys. But I digress. Anyhow, that was a very cool camp. Lots of good worship during the services, and the food was pretty good actually too, and loads of foosball and ping pong. I also played a fair amount of pool. I'm pretty good at pool, so that was fun. And then we moved to Knoxville. We moved back to Knoxville in between 7th and 8th grade, and so I did a camp while I was out there. I think it would have had to be between 7th and 8th grade. I think I did 2 camps, but one of the camps that I went to was a Salvation Army camp, and that one was it had a slave labor vibe to it. I remember, like, I got my lifeguard certification while I was there, so you had to tread water in the pool for 30 minutes with your tennis shoes, socks, jeans, like fully dressed, and a jacket. So if you could tread water doing that for 30 minutes plus the other bits of or elements of the testing, you could be certified as a junior lifeguard. And so I had done that, and I was like really proud of myself. I was a very strong swimmer. We swam all the time. When I was young, we always really lived in apartments, and so we had pools, and we were like little fish, always in the pool, swimming our little hearts out. And so that was really awesome. And for whatever reason, that's the part of the test that I remember the most, was like 5 other people. There were a handful of us that passed, but there were 5 people who just totally sank, could not recover, sobbing about how dangerous this was. And it might have been dangerous. We were in the deep end, like you couldn't have hit the ground. You would have had to swim your way out, and they had people there to rescue you if you really sucked it up and couldn't handle it. But it was very different than like the traditional church camps that I had gone to, because there was a lot less, way less adult oversight. The kids that were there, they were like, and I say kids because they were in their early 20s, that were like our camp counselors or whatever. There was a certain vibe that other chaos might be going on, and so I just kind of tried to stay small and to myself and away from some of those other things. And the food was really awful. I mean, so bad. But I survived. I lived to see another day. They were really strict about weird things, and so it was definitely not my favorite camp, but I was really stoked to get my lifeguard certification for pools while I was there. So, had the opportunity to use that in other capacities. And then there was another camp that I went to that summer that was really cool. It was a church camp. I think I went with my church group from Broadway Baptist in Knoxville. And I got this really cool shirt that was a Just Do It shirt. And it was black and neon green. And it was in the same vein as like the Nike Just Do It. And so back in the day, there was a Just Do It shirt that had like, run, hit, whatever. It was all like different athletic activities that you would do. And so just run, just hit, just whatever, nail it, tackle, whatever. And then on the back it would say just do it. And this one was, again, same kind of idea, but with like a Christian flair. So it was like just pray, just read, just serve, which I thought was really kind of awesome. And so I loved that shirt so much. And I wore that one to oblivion as well. And I do believe I still have that shirt also. So a little bit of a memory hoarder. I don't hoard everything, but I do, like certain memory things I have kept all of these years. And that was a really fun camp. We did lots of outdoor stuff. So I remember we had fun doing archery. I feel like there were horses near us, but I don't necessarily remember that we went riding while we were there. Lots of hiking and camping, like hiking to camp spots. Lots of outdoor fire activities. There was a bonfire every night, which was really fun. And crafting that was more like leather work and stuff of that nature. Kind of like frontier style activities, which, you know, when you're a kid, I mean, even like going into 8th grade, there's a tendency where you could get the like, I'm too cool for this. But it wasn't like that. It was really a good time. We learned a lot of different activities. We had a lot of fun with each other. I don't think any of my like really close friends, aside from the Calvary Chapel camp, I don't think any of my close friends went to any of these camps. So here I was, just a kid, and I'm thrust in with a bunch of other people that I don't know, which is not dissimilar to every other experience I'd had as a child, because we moved around a lot and I was, you know, often the new kid in school. So going to these camps and not knowing anybody was not a deterrent by any means for my going and fully embracing the experience and leaving with camp friends. And it's funny to think now, you know, if my kids make friends at a church camp, and you know, it's only my son who would be going now, but as they make friends at church camp, they can get cell phone numbers and email addresses, and for my son, gaming IDs to connect with people after camp. When I was a kid, you could maybe get someone's address and you may or may not ever write them, and they may or may not ever write you back. And so it's a totally different scale. I didn't often give out my address because I guess I just inherently knew it might not be my address for very long. So there's not a lot of point in giving you my address. Like, hope for the best that you'll be able to reach me before we move again. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad, but it nearly was. Sometimes I would give the Scheibel's address or my Aunt Lynn and Uncle Fred's address if I wanted to see that I would actually receive at some point the correspondence that someone would send to me. I did that when we moved from Knoxville back to San Diego. I gave my aunt and uncle's address because I knew if it at least made it there, I would eventually see the letter, whatever it was, get mailed to me. But summer camp was fun, and like my favorite thing as my kids came of age, you know, when my oldest was very active in Girl Scouts, and so she always got to go to lots of cool Girl Scout camps. I made a point to give her those opportunities beginning as soon as she was old enough to go. The coolest camp she got to go to was Camp Samoa, and I hope she would agree because she earned that one selling over 800 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. So being the leader of the troop and making sure our troop would sell as many cookies as we could, and then also me being the leader having to beat all of those things, she was at all of those things. And so she always did really well on cookie sales and was very outgoing in those situations and ready to put on a big smile and work the angle to get the sale. So she'd get to go to Camp Samoa. And that was kind of fun because it's a bunch of other ambitious kids who are there to experience all these fun opportunities unique to the top sellers. And obviously there are kids who sell significantly more than 800 boxes a year, but that was a pretty big deal for her to be able to do that. And my rule was that she had to be the one to sell. So, you know, I would let her come in and talk to people that we knew, but I wasn't really running around like, oh, you know, you need to buy cookies for my daughter, from my daughter. It would be her having to make the sale, and you know, I'd help facilitate. And total tangent, but I would make little like quarter of a sheet of paper, a little thank you note that she could put on there for each box of cookies, and we would tie the boxes orders together with a little bit of curling ribbon and the thank you card, and the thank you card would say something like, thank you for supporting my troop, and if you'd like additional cookies, please contact me. And so they could follow up with more cookies. And honestly, that yielded us quite a number of additional sales because people were impressed by her little thank you note with her cookies. And so she had to sit there and handwrite a portion of them. But it was like, I made it like a fill in the blank. So a portion was already completed. So it would say, dear so-and-so, thank you for supporting my Troop 8148 by buying 6 boxes of cookies or whatever. And then she would write her name at the end of them. And so that was pretty cute. But I think she had a fun time with that. And then she got to start going to church camp when she was in 6th grade. They had camps offered at Radiant, and she got to go all the way through high school. And I remember her senior year when she came home, like the summer before her senior year, she came home from camp and she said, Mom, I want to go back next year and and I just want to be one of the camp staff. I think that would be so cool. Like, she had such an amazing time and experience. And then her senior year went a different direction. But she had a really good summer. She came home, she was so excited about everything she learned and the environment. And she'd never expressed any interest in ever going back as a counselor. And then all of a sudden she was like, this is what I want to do. I want to go back and be a counselor next year. And then that isn't what she ended up doing. But I'm glad that she had that one summer experience. And my middle daughter, Caitlin, seemed to always like going to church camp, although her senior camp, it was a tougher one for her when she went between her junior and senior year. That was not her best camp experience. She was on the edge about going, but I had kept saying that she really wanted to go. And then when she got there, I think kind of the drama imploded. And so she nearly came home early. But she stayed. She made it the entire time. Thankfully, we had really great youth pastors, still Charlie's youth pastor, who battened down the hatches, helped make it happen. And so Charlie always has a really great time going to his church camps that he's been able to go to for a good long number of years, and sports camps and things like that. And they always they used to love the YMCA camp near our house here. Just tons of activities. It was really cool because they had this whole serve opportunity where kids could do leadership of some of the younger ones. And that was actually Caitlin's best space for her because she loves little kids. She's like, if she ends up having, overseeing an orphanage at some point in her future, I just will literally not be surprised because she loves kids so much and she loves to caretake and she has such a big heart. And so those opportunities at those camps, that was just such a filling for her. So she'd go and she'd just, leave it all on the line day in and day out, serving with the little kids and helping to meet their needs and going on all the fun adventures. They did tons of cool stuff, and they got to serve in the community as well as go to baseball games or, out to other parks and experiences and whatever. She had a great time, and my son really loved it. All the activity and playing basketball every day and all of that good stuff with his friends. So summer camp is tons of fun. And if you didn't have a camp experience, I'm sorry, you definitely missed out. But if you have kids that you could send to a summer camp, man, I seriously recommend it because it's important to learn how to figure some things out for yourself without the oversight of your parents directly. Although it'd kind of be a lot if you've always been under that umbrella and then you're suddenly without it. That could be a little traumatic. However, that wasn't my childhood, so I was totally good. In any event, I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to hear about your summer camp stories, so feel free to share. Come back again, and I'll tell you another story. Thanks.